If anyone still holds out hope that the 2024 to 2025 Champions League will be a stage for the usual names like Real Madrid or Man City, then my condolences. This year's semifinals have shown one thing: the throne has changed hands. The four teams left standing, Arsenal, Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Paris Saint-Germain, aren't here just to spectate, they're here to claim the crown. Arsenal crushed Real Madrid right at the Bernabéu with a cold, sharp brand of football, making all the talk about Champions League DNA suddenly sound laughable. Barcelona, despite stumbling into the semifinals and giving their fans plenty of sleepless nights, have somehow maintained the face of a giant that's finally learned its lesson after years of wandering off course. Inter Milan, no need for much talk here. They are the epitome of resilience and composure, the toughest and most battle-hardened team in the tournament. Pure Italian football, with a mentality that no other team in the current top four can replicate. Paris Saint-Germain, for the first time in years, are playing like a proper football team, not just a circus of stars living off their personal brands. This isn't a semi-final for the trendy names. It's a semi-final for those who know how to endure, to grit their teeth, and to finish off their opponents when necessary. And among these four teams, the one that is steadier, more ruthless, will claim the crown. Barcelona's return to the Champions League semi-finals this season isn't just a surprise, it's a bold statement to the rest of Europe. The Catalan giants are truly back. Not because of the nostalgia of past glories, but because of real strength, systematic structure, and a squad capable of creating calculated chaos. Barcelona 2025 is no longer the fragile, directionless side of recent years. This is a hardened unit that plays beautiful football and finishes opponents off with chilling composure. Their greatest strength lies in the midfield, where two names, Frenkie de Jong and Pedri, serve as the heart and soul of the machine. De Jong grants freedom to everyone around him with his press-resistant ball control, ability to break lines, and the vision to open up space. He doesn't need to score or assist every game, he's the heartbeat of the team regardless. And then there's Pedri, elegant, intelligent, and surgical. Every time he steps on the pitch, Barcelona breathes easier. He's the kind of player who makes everything flow, not flashy, but undeniably effective. Up front, Barca boasts the crown jewel of world football right now, Lamine Yamal. Just 17 years old, yet playing with the maturity of a veteran. He's been the best dribbler in the tournament so far, with an outrageous skill set and a razor-sharp decision-making ability. Curling shots into the far post, inch-perfect through balls that split defenses. This teenager has it all. Alongside him is Rafinha, the second highest scorer in the Champions League this season with 12 goals and 7 assists. Not to forget Robert Lewandowski. The Polish striker has netted 11 goals in the competition and remains in fierce contention for the Golden Boot. Barca don't rely on moments of individual brilliance alone. They have structure, and that's what makes them dangerous. In defense, Jules Koundé is enjoying his best season since arriving in Spain, while Ronald Araujo, despite occasional lapses, remains the physical and spiritual leader at the back. Goalkeeper Marc Sessegni may not be a household name, but he's proven to be a reliable last line of defense, especially in high-stakes matches. Barca averaged 62.9% possession, allowed just 7 shots per game, and have conceded only 4 goals in 10 matches. This is no longer a young or transitional team. This is a squad with depth, character, and a growing sense of winning DNA. 24.8%, that's the chance Opta analyst gives Barcelona to win the Champions League, the lowest among the 4 semi-finalists. But it's also proof that they're not just part of the show, they're contenders. And if they can stay focused and keep Pedri, De Jong, Rafinha, and Yamal fit, then the rest of the competition should start worrying, right now. Italy marches into the Champions League semi-finals with a calm, composed demeanor, and a lurking sense of danger. There's no media hype trailing them like Real Madrid or PSG. But Inter are the only team among the current top 4 to have reached the Champions League semi-finals twice in the last 3 seasons. That's no coincidence. First and foremost, there's resilience. Inter have gone unbeaten in their last 15 home matches in the Champions League since a 2-0 loss to Bayern Munich back in September 2022. That run includes clashes with heavyweights like Benfica, Porto, Atletico Madrid, and most recently, Bayern themselves, the very side that once inflicted heartbreak on them. Inter also boasts the tournament's best defense, conceding just 5 goals in 12 matches, an average of 0.41 goals per game, closing in on AC Milan's legendary 1994 record of 0.25 goals per game. But they don't defend with a parked bus. Inter's backline operates with synchronization, discipline, and deliberate precision. This isn't a young team either. In the first leg against Bayern, they became the first side in Champions League history to field 4 players over the age of 35, Jan Sommer, Matteo Darmian, Francesco Acerbi, and Henrik Mkhitaryan. Age doesn't mean weakness. Experience is what helped them tame a high-powered Bayern attack featuring names like Harry Kane and Jamal Musiala. At the heart of it all stands Captain Lautaro Martinez, scoring in 5 consecutive Champions League games, an unprecedented feat for any Inter player. At 27, Lautaro is no longer just a finisher. He's become the tactical nucleus of Simone Inzaghi's attack. He roams freely, links up with Marcus Thuram, and frequently drops deep to connect midfield and attack, playing almost like a number 10, yet still maintaining a lethal scoring output. Thuram, his strike partner, may not top the charts in raw stats, but he's an essential cog in Inter's identity this season, especially in transitions. Inter have punished teams repeatedly with lightning-fast counters, often needing no more than 6 to 10 touches to carve open defenses. Don't overlook Inter's midfield engine room either. Nicola Barella continues to be the tireless workhorse, while Hakan Calhanoglu has blossomed into a deep-lying maestro. He doesn't need flashy dribbles or endless ball retention. Every switch of play is calculated, purposeful, and designed to disorient opposing defenses. Inter's story this season isn't a Cinderella run fueled by a modest budget, it's a deliberate resurgence of a sleeping giant. A tactically astute coach. A settled lineup. Individual match winners when it counts. And above all, experience and cunning. If there's one reason people are still hesitant to place full faith in Inter, it's squad depth. Unlike English or Spanish giants, Inter can't afford frequent rotations. Key players like Batoni, DiMarco, and Barella often grind out full 90s. And a single injury could shake the whole system. But based on what we've seen, Inter don't need to match others in squad depth. They only need to stay true to themselves, disciplined, efficient, and streetwise, the Italian way. The very qualities that brought them glory in 2010, and just might write another chapter of history come June. Paris Saint-Germain have entered a state rarely associated with them in past Champions League campaigns. They finally look like a real team, not just a scattered constellation of stars with oversized egos. Most importantly, this is no longer the fragile PSG that would crumble under pressure. This is a well-drilled Paris Saint-Germain, one that plays as if programmed to dismantle opponents. And above all, it's a side that knows how to survive chaos. Reaching the Champions League semifinals feels like a natural step for a team shaped by Luis Enrique, a manager bringing refined football and a tactical philosophy that borders on genius. What stands out most is PSG's midfield control. The trio of João Neves, Vitinha, and Fabian Ruiz has become a living maze, constantly rotating, dragging opponents out of shape. One simple drop from Vitinha is enough to pull Tielemans out of position, instantly opening pockets of space for Ruiz or Neves to receive and pivot. Luis Enrique once said, "Football is a game of control." His version of Paris now lives and breathes that mantra. In attack, Ousmane Dembélé is no longer just a flashy dribbler with little end product. This season, he has exploded with 32 goals in all competitions, a clear sign of his transformation into a true scoring machine. Dembélé is now the primary spearhead, a versatile weapon Enrique deploys with frightening efficiency. What's more terrifying? This PSG frontline doesn't stick to fixed roles. Dembélé, Bradley Barcola, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, and even 19-year-old rising star Dizzy do constantly switch positions, leaving defenders clueless on who's coming at them next. In an interview with Amazon Prime, Luis Enrique said, "We absolutely deserve to go through based on both legs. Was the better team the one that advanced? I believe so. Villa have quality, they play with great intensity, and there were moments where they seemed to have figured us out. But we exploited the spaces and scored 2 excellent goals. Across the tie, we earned it. 2 straight semi-final appearances, and now PSG want more. That clarity of purpose matters, especially when looking at the numbers. Paris Saint-Germain have played 163 matches in the Champions League without lifting the trophy, second only to Arsenal. But now, Opta gives them a 24% chance of winning the title, third highest, behind Arsenal and Inter. This version of Paris Saint-Germain no longer draws doubt. Instead, they inspire fear, not because of glittering names like Neymar, Mbappe, or Messi, but because the Parisian powerhouse now knows how to endure, how to defend when needed, how to strike when it counts. And most importantly, they understand this. You don't have to play beautifully to win. You just have to play correctly. The semi-finals await, and this time, maybe it won't be another unfinished dream. The way to become the king is to beat the king. Arsenal did exactly that, convincingly. And now, according to Opta, the Gunners are the favorites to win the Champions League among the 4 semi-finalists, with a 28.7% chance of lifting the trophy. That number reflects a stunning journey from a young, brave, and increasingly complete team. On their path to potentially becoming Europe's new kings, Arsenal toppled the giant, Real Madrid, with calculated dominance and a level-headed maturity that belied their inexperience in the competition. After all, this is their first Champions League semi-final since 2009. At the Bernabéu, a ground forever tied to the phrase, 90 minutes is a long time. Arsenal made time feel painfully short for the home fans. Real Madrid managed only 3 shots on target the entire match, a rare sight for a team fielding Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham. And through it all, Arsenal remained strangely calm. They controlled space, struck where it hurt, and capitalized on every key moment. Xhaka missed a penalty? No matter. He coolly chipped the ball over Courtois moments later. Saliba made a mistake? Still no problem, the defense stood tall. And Martinelli sealed the deal with a textbook counterattack in the 93rd minute. Every individual error was absorbed by the collective, a trait once synonymous with Real Madrid in their golden era. Now Arsenal did it, against Real themselves. If there's one player who embodies the Arsenal spirit this season, it's Declan Rice. Composed, clever, unafraid of contact, and unfazed by the occasion. After the match, he said, "We've got a target in this competition. We want to beat the best teams. We came here believing we'd win, and we did." When Arteta rotated heavily in the Premier League, many thought it was a sign of surrender. Now it's clear, he chose the perfect moment to go all in on Europe. Arsenal may have sacrificed the Premier League, but in exchange, they're chasing history. And so far, the trade is more than worth it. Not everyone can take a young squad, one knocked out by Bayern last season, and guide them to the semi-finals just 12 months later. But Arteta did. And the scariest part? It still feels like this team hasn't hit its ceiling. Look at this squad, and you don't just see the present, you see the future. Names like Milos Skrully and Etienne Gannery are already being whispered as the next chapters in this story. That's the Arsenal difference. They're not just playing to win the season, they're building a dynasty. They're on the verge of something special, just as Declan Rice said. And no one dares to doubt it, not after they silenced the Bernabéu one more time. 4 teams. 4 stories. But only one rule, win or go home. Arsenal, composed and ruthless. Inter, experienced and unyielding. PSG, pragmatic and meticulously organized. Barcelona, learning to survive and strike when it matters most. This semi-final isn't for the glamorous, it's for those who've conquered themselves. And ahead of us? Who knows? Perhaps one more chaotic, unforgettable Champions League night awaits.